we also got to talk to you about the Portland Timbers. We're going to have all of that in this show. We got to get to the pitch first because they actually just ended at Providence Park. So you know I got to go to my boy, OG, Team OG, that guy, Mr. Guillermo Mota, live right there at Providence Park after a great Portland Timbers match against San Jose Earthquakes. G, let me tell you something. It took a minute, but they eventually got on the goal. They got on the board. And then San Jose did it right after. All right, so talk to me. Quick thoughts after the match.
Tyree, definitely mixed feelings, you know what I'm saying? That, like you said, Timbers took the lead, being a one-man up. You know, we had that red card with 30 minutes plus to go. And then the Quakes just tie it up in the extra time. So definitely a hurtful feeling here tonight at Providence Park. You could feel it in the crowd. 1-1 the final score here. But before we get to the highlights and more on the game, we'll have Adam Sussman join me here to discuss a little bit more about the game. But it was a special night, and I tell you why. Because we had original members from that 1975 Timbers team right here at Providence Park tonight, and I had a chance to catch up with them, so take a listen.
At the time, I played in South Africa for 2 years, and then I went to Wolverhampton Wanderers, and then, like Barry and myself, we came out here because we wanted to build our career, basically, and we thought that this was a stepping stone for us. But it turned out to be a bigger stepping stone than we possibly thought. And I think that with regards to what I said about the supporters, they were tremendous. And you know what the biggest thing was, for us anyway, is when they said to us, all the supporters want to meet the Timbers. Go to they announced over the tunnel, go to the Benson and meet the Timbers. They could not believe that they were this close to us and chatting to us. And we were just, you know, we were trying to promote our game.
I was the first in town 2 weeks before the season. These guys came literally less than a week before the season started. We played for all different teams, but our manager, Vic Crow, had worked out who we wanted for what role. We played roles. We had some outstanding players. Me and Barry were sort of at the back helping out. Peter was the goal scorer for sure. Best header of the ball in Portland Timbers history, bar none. Barry Powell, probably the best passer of a ball in Timbers history. He's up there with the Valerius of this world in terms of the quality of his play. So we had a great team. We didn't know to start with, but we grew together as a group. We stayed in the same apartment, so we were neighbours as well, and that meant we built a great team spirit.
Just while he's saying about promoting the game, I was a young guy, I was 21, but playing professional football at Wolverhampton Wanderers Football Club, and I was told by my manager, it might be good if you went to play for Portland Timbers in America, it might learn you to grow up. And I'd like to think that this club and this stadium helped me grow up, it did, but it also helped them grow up because lots of people didn't know about soccer.
And I haven't seen these guys for 10 years. So it's great for us to come back and to see the stadium the way it is, doing the tour, and just being here to have the atmosphere in Soccer City, USA.
Soccer City, USA, huh? That was awesome hearing from the OG team. What was that like for you to be just around those legends in there, you know, just living up their kind of glory days, hearing them talk about it?
You know, when you approach like legends of any sport, any club, you're kind of like nervous, right? You're kind of scared, like, how are they going to be like? Are they like in their high horse or anything? No, they were actually like really cool guys. They were talking about like they haven't seen each other in 10 years, like you just said. And it just felt like I was joining the boys. Like it was a Saturday night hanging out with the boys. They were actually really cool in a special moment. There's a picture going around on social media that somebody took, and I'm just smiling from ear to ear. It was just a cool moment to be a part of. And I wish the guys would have went home with the victory, but that's not the case. But hey, we'll be analyzing the game after this break. So Tyree, you got any questions for Adam?
I'm going to have a whole ton of questions for Adam, actually, after the break. But quickly, I want to ask you, lastly, what was their feelings on this game, if you got a chance to ask them prior to? What was their thoughts just on Timbers?
Heartbreak, man, because this feels like a loss. And Juan Mosquera was just in there in the presser talking about he scored a goal and he looked devastated. This is just a heartbreak just because, like I said, they had an extra man, they scored first, and then you get that tying goal in the last few minutes. So definitely a heartbreak. It feels more like a loss rather than rescuing a point. So that's how I would describe it, man.
OG team, you know what? They still came around and they're still supporting, so at least it wasn't a full loss. How about that, G? At least it wasn't a full loss. Don't go anywhere, though, because our boy G and Adam gonna be sticking around. We're gonna talk more on this game, Portland Timbers, on ARX PDX Sports. Stay tuned. Welcome back into ARX PDX Sports, good people. Tyrese Mirver here with you, and we are with our boys Adam Sussman, Portland Timbers broadcaster and team reporter, and our boy Guillermo Mota is live at the Providence Park post-game after the Portland Timbers took on San Jose Earthquakes, and they came out with 1 point, 1-0 tied. All right, Adam, first of all, the people haven't seen you with this beard. Your beard is phenomenal, sir. Congrats on that. All right. You thought I wasn't gonna mention that? Come on now.
I didn't think it was gonna be the first thing we talked about at Providence Park after a 1-1 draw, but I'll take it.
We got a little Wolverine here.
Hey man, it looks. First of all, it's the thing that stood out. All right, it's standing out. Tonight was an interesting game. So, Adam, I'm gonna let you go. What was your thoughts overall?
Look, it's of course a disappointment, but before this 3-game homestand started, I said to myself, if the Timbers get 7 of 9 points over Colorado, St. Louis, and tonight San Jose, it would be considered a success of a month.
On the money.
They did that, but of course it still feels like a disappointment for a few reasons. Of course, the equalizer was scored 3 minutes into the +6 of stoppage time, and one thing that Portland just didn't do quite well today is once they went up a man, it didn't feel like they had that much of an advantage. Dave Vandenberg, the assistant coach who was acting as the head coach tonight through Phil Neville's suspension, said in the postgame they were not intelligent enough to see this game out. They played very poorly after Ian Harkes went off with a red card. And it's one thing if you get a red card and you haven't played 11v10 the whole season, that can be a little bit odd. We saw this a week and a half, 2 weeks ago against Colorado when they had a man sent off in Wayne Frederick. We actually did the post-game show together standing right here, so the Timbers should have been better in that situation.
And he talked about the word intelligent. That's the same word Juan Mosquera used in that press conference I was telling you about just 15 minutes ago. He said they weren't smart with the ball. I asked him about the constant crosses after the 70th minute, and he said they just weren't playing smart with the ball. So it's just one of those things where, and Phil Neville mentioned this too, and I know assistant coach Dave mentioned the same thing. It's sometimes harder to play against a team with 10 than 11, but you still got to capitalize.
Like San Jose was really good in transition this game. There was moments, I think 10 minutes after they got the red card, they had a 3-on-2 break going the other way. It felt like there was some disassociation between the Timbers back four and their midfield four. When San Jose got on the ball, the Timbers were not swarming to them. They had too much room to go forward. And of course, the moment itself, that's a save that James Pantemis makes 99 times out of 100. He's made several instrumental stops that have helped Portland get to second place in the standings. But if they won this game, they would have been sitting second alone. And if San Diego and Minnesota, who are third and fourth respectively, drew tomorrow, they would have stood in second for this 2-week break.
So then
Just
that
a tough
means
tie.
question for you both actually then. Do you guys think it was Phil Neville's absence that kind of caused a little bit of disarray? Because if you watch this game from start to finish, you would think that the team wasn't as tight at a point, but it took so long for either one of them to get on the board. So I'm curious, do you think Phil Neville's absence was also part of the reason that this game wasn't as maybe as clean as one wanted it to be?
Yeah, I personally don't think so, just because that first half is one of those first halves that we're accustomed now by the Timbers. It was just kind of flat, nothing much going on. And then the second half, I don't know, man. I go back to the Anthony injury. I think if Anthony doesn't go down, this game is a for sure win.
I think Phil Neville was still coaching this team in a way after he was right up there, and after the goal, the Apple TV broadcasted a good job of literally showing him like almost like the Pope, like guiding from the seat. It was kind of cool, but I don't think so. Overall, I thought Dave Vandenberg did a pretty good job. Phil Neville wasn't allowed on the pitch that we're standing on right now, but he was allowed in the locker room before the game, and I think halftime maybe as well. So he still had a big say over this game, but it was definitely quieter on the touchline. You can hear Phil Neville screaming his absolute lungs out, and Dave Vandenberg was not doing that like Phil Neville does.
And going back to the capitalizing part, there was one play in specific that I wouldn't blame this tie on Pence and that save, just because there was one play where David Da Costa had a one-on-one. He could have passed in the middle, and he missed the chance. So I feel like it was just a combination of not luck and just missed opportunities.
Look, you and I know that a DP slot is opening in a month's time when the primary transfer window opens in Major League Soccer, and there's been a lot of talk, is David Da Costa better as a number 10 or a left winger? And seeing that moment that he had, I really wanted him to have that individual solo heroic moment. The run, the first touch, he took it on the outside of his boot, ran all the way up the pitch from the halfway line into the box. The finish just was not there, and it was a good stop by Daniel.
Yeah, and we'll be waiting to see what happens with Anthony's injury. We don't know at this moment, but it looked like a hamstring, quad, something related to that, but we'll keep you updated, Tyree.
Dr. Mota.
Fellas, appreciate you guys' time. That is Guillermo Mota, Adam Sussman, live from Providence Park, post-game with the Portland Timbers, 1-1 with San Jose. Next time, I don't know what's happening, but I'll keep on talking. The next time that you will see Portland Timbers in action, June 28th against Toronto, 4:30 kick on the road. Thanks, fellas. See you guys later.